We are recording now. So welcome everybody to our Unlocking the Secrets to a Successful Website webinar today. We have myself, Heather Herrick of Making Waves Web Solutions, Holly Plackett of Plackett Enterprises, Sophia Balanet of Mellow Studios, and Tony Ivy of OmegaNet. We all have our own website businesses and we love to collaborate, and we all do slightly different things. We all have a slightly different target audience, a slightly different niche in the business. So I'm going to let each person introduce themselves. Sophia, would you like to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Aloha, everyone. My name is Sophia. I'm with Mellow Design Studios, and I've been a graphic designer for about 7 years now. In the last 2 years, I've focused on branding and website design for female service entrepreneurs. My specialty is website in a day, website in a week, and I focus on high converting websites through getting really clear on your offer and your messaging to be able to create a visual experience. My motto is that we're not in the business of B2B or B2C, but we are in the business of H to H, heart to heart, or human to human. So thank you.
Love it, Sophia. Thanks. Holly, would you like to go next?
Hi, Holly Plackett, Plackett Enterprises. And Plackett Enterprises is all about creating websites for new authors. And delighted to be here, delighted to be with my collaborators on this webinar. And what we're really trying to do is give you some ideas about if you're just in the process of selecting or deciding to have a website done and how you might find a good website designer, and then some very good ideas about building a website in addition. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to find the website designer that meets your needs.
Great. Thanks, Holly. And again, I'm Heather Herrick of Making Waves Web Solutions. And my focus is a little bit different. I build websites for people, but I also teach people how to build their own websites or how to make updates and maintain their own websites, because I was a teacher for a really long time before I became a web designer. So it's a little bit of a different focus. I work in WordPress, and that is a very versatile open source platform. So that's kind of an interesting point too. We all kind of work in different spaces and use different platforms and different tools to build the websites. So that's an interesting one. And I will be talking to you today about mobile design. So looking at websites on phones and tablets. Tony, you're up.
Okay, I'm Tony Ivy with OmegaNet, and my concentration is selling online, whether it be retail selling or wholesale selling. We want to help you make money and expand your business to the World Wide Web. And yeah, we're going to talk more about that a bit later.
Great, thanks so much, Tony. So the way things will work today is that each of us will give a short presentation on our own topic. So we'll each do about 7 to 10 minutes. So we'll go through 4 different topics, and then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So any questions that you have, keep those and we'll answer them at the end. Any questions you might come up with while we're talking, make sure to jot those down so that you can ask them towards the end. Ladies, anything I missed? No? All right, then let me go ahead and share screen and we'll let Sophia get us started. All right, take it away, Sophia.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here and to start us off with just the power of your website, why we want to have a website, why it's so important in our business. And the fact, or actually, before we start, I want to start out with a little bit of an icebreaker. OMG, it's an icebreaker. This dog's name is actually Icebreaker, so that's why I put it in here. But I'd love to either get a raise of hands or a 1 in the chat if you research a business online before you make contact with them to learn more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely me. And then a 2 or another raise of hands if you make a full decision on whether or not you want to work with them by the information that you find online. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So over 81% of customers will research a business online before going to visit them in person, making a purchase, or just deciding whether or not they want to work with you. And this is why one of the many reasons why we should have a website for our business. Even if you are an in-person business, even if you're just online, it expands our reach beyond what we can do in person. And it can also help us with establishing credibility. You can go ahead to the next slide. It'll kind of come down here in a second. But let's talk about the role of our website. What is your website? What does it do for you? Essentially, your website is your home online. With the internet being such a large hub of different information, we want to make sure that you have the power and the voice to say who you are, what you do, and who you serve in your own words, so that other people on social media and anybody around you can't just go and tell other people their opinion. And that's them establishing you. We want you to establish you. So we want to make sure that we are using our website to establish the expectations of what it's like to work with you, the experience of what it's like that people will get when they work with you, all of the information for you as well online. And you can also think of your website as your 24/7 employee, your hardest working employee who will do the work of sharing the information about you, the experiences, the expectations. Because imagine if you got on a sales call and your potential client already knew what your process is. They have answers to their questions. They know your delivery, what you offer. Wouldn't that make a really easy sale for you? It would just more be, getting to know if they are the right fit in your business, if you're the one that can help them, which it makes it so much more easier for you to be like, hey, this is what I can do. You already understand, have the expectations, and you can even use your website to set the standards of what the client relationship might be, how you approach working with somebody in terms of how you talk to them, how you decide what the relationship is going to be. Are you the best friend, the supporter? Are you just the professional or expert? You can use your online presence to establish all of these things and this experience that you're going to get for your clients to work with you. So a big reason why many people are looking to get their website done, and I'll get to this in this part in just a second, but a big reason why many people are looking to get their website is because it means money for them, right? It means, increasing your reach online to more than what you can do in person, to more than the events you can attend in person. And this is really setting up your website is how it's going to make you money. We can look at the sales funnel and where it fits in on your marketing strategy. And I think this is something that I hear a lot of where does your website actually fit into all of your marketing strategies, what you're doing, talking to people. And a big misconception I hear a lot of is that people think that a website is a do-it-all for you online. It's all you need, or aside from what I hear about social media, but really your website is just a powerful tool under your belt in your marketing overall funnel. And you can see here with the awareness starting out, this is where you see your social media, your people that you're talking to, getting them to know about your business. And then once they're taking interest is where you kind of fit in your website. This is where they can gather more information about you, where they can see or where you can establish your professionalism. Because if I can get a raise of hand, how many of you don't contact somebody if you don't feel like their website is very professional looking, right? Or even a lot of times I am so frustrated when I am searching up a business and all I find is a Facebook page. And it doesn't have everything I need, or it's, mostly just posting. Unfortunately, that's something I hear a lot of people say is social media is good enough for me. But really, we have to follow all of the rules of different platforms when we're on social media. So our website is our way to have a home space. You can interact with clients on your own schedule, in your own way, get them into your email list and start some nurturing sequence and building the relationships. So you can go on to the next one. What do you need to get started? And I want to kind of prelude this into Holly's presentation of how to find the best website designer. But what I would say that you need to get started with a website is to, 1, know your author, 2, know your audience, and 3, know your unique value. Because depending on the person that you choose, there are many designers who can do branding, your logo, and help you with your business name, whatever it might be. Some designers will only do your website. And so there are different stages that you can find website designers for your particular thing, and Holly will go more into that. But where I love to, my favorite part is to know the offer, the audience, and the unique value. And being clear on this will help you get the most out of your website design. So, go ahead to the next one. Feel free to contact me. You can use that scan QR code there, and it'll have all of my contact information. If you have any questions about getting clear on those 3 things. And the next is Holly up next with how to find the best website designer and hire.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophia, so much. Pleasure to be here today. What I'm going to do is just kind of briefly outline a little bit of my history in getting our websites created for Placket Enterprises over the years, and then give you some insight about how to find a website designer that will truly meet your needs and what your goals are in accomplishing getting your business up and on a website. So first thing I'd like to talk a little bit about is how many ways are there to get to 6? There are an infinite number of ways to get to 6. 9 minus 3, 12 minus 6, 36 minus 30, 6 plus 0 is 6. So there are an infinite ways to get to 6. And this is my constant reminder when I need some possibility thinking with myself and also with other people. So it's a good reminder to kind of keep that question in your mind when you're trying to develop something that's very creative. So I always ask myself, how many ways are there to get to 6, especially when I'm being told that can't be done. So when I first started to create websites in 2008, my husband and I had moved from Redmond, Washington after we raised our family and had our careers and things. And we moved to a little town called Ocean Shores, Washington, and we were going to be semi-retired, but we did restart our own small marketing business, Placket Enterprises. And we hired a fellow to create our website, and he did a great job for us at a reasonable price. So as we were starting to build our little business there, I ran across other ideas I borrowed from, or I saw on other websites, and I kept asking him to make some changes. But many times he would just say, that can't be done. And yet I was looking at a website where it was being done, but many times when I asked him to make changes, that was his response. And that really was very frustrating with me. So, I think one of the most important things you can do is look for a website designer who is a possibility thinker and also a problem solver. That they'll take your idea and instead of simply saying it can't be done. And after a while, I figured out it can't be done. The real response he should have been giving me is, I don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And instead of being honest with me, he was always saying it can't be done. So one of the key things to finding a good website designer that'll work well with you is make sure that they are a possibility thinker. They understand there are many ways to get to 6, and they're gonna seek out research and try to develop the ideas that you bring to them as much as they possibly can. So that's really, really valuable when you're working with a website designer. So they need to possess the ability to admit when they don't know exactly how to do something, that they are willing to research and learn how to make that update for you that you want. So my second step is I'll just go over some other essential skills that you really need in a website designer. Again, besides solution-oriented individual and possessing a positive attitude. Your website designer needs to have good, strong listening skills, and they need to have conversations with you about your ideas with your website. Don't try to find a person that will actually have a conversation with you, that won't talk over you, that won't kind of dominate the conversation. I work with a checklist. I created a checklist that I work with my clients about the kinds of elements that they want in their website. But I've also worked with people that wanted to bring me a dream board, and I kind of expanded my awareness about how a dream board works. But the important thing is to listen and find out exactly what they want their website to do and what elements they want in their website. And then creativity, be open to have your website designer be open to brand new ideas, maybe things they've never incorporated into other websites that you've seen on sample websites and things. So make sure that they have a little bit of creativity element to them too. And again, conversation. Is your website designer good about having a conversation with you about your website design, or are they doing all the talking? Try to make sure that you find a person that you can converse with, exchange ideas for, and have your ideas about your website developed as much as theirs. And then I'm just going to talk a little bit about teamwork and collaboration. Make sure one of the key things you do when you do decide to hire a website designer and start on the building of your website, make sure that you both have a clear concept of the time frame that it's going to take to get a website done. Early in my career, I dabbled in a little bit of politics in Washington State. I had my very first website created for my campaign, and it took almost 2 months for that website to get drafted. and that's very, very irritating. So make sure that you're very clear both with your website designer and yourself about how fast the website needs to be created. And also, many times website designers work with other collaborators like illustrators and photographers, and you want to make sure that you have an idea to meet some of them personally too, so can get an idea of how that website is going to come together with those collaborators as well. The other thing I'm going to talk a little bit about is navigating disagreements gracefully. Okay, so what you want to do is get in tune with your website designer, build rapport, a strong rapport with them, and hopefully with that, when things go a little bit astray or there's too many changes or all of that sort of thing, that they are a flexible, workable person. They're going to work with you through those challenges. So make sure that that you, as you're working with your website designer, or even before you choose them, find out if they're friendly and easygoing, and do they talk in a language and in a manner that is going to be helpful to you to get your website created. Step 5, I'm going to talk a little bit about respectful and creative paths to project redesign. This is where a lot of breakdown happens between a website designer and a client, okay? Life happens, things happen. So flexibility on both your part and the part of your website designer is really, really important when and if major project, when and if your website during the creation of it needs to take a totally different direction or has to have a major project redesign. So make sure that you're going to be working with a website designer who can adjust with those things, adjust with those changes in mind, and giving each other both greater understanding and flexibility as you work through those changes. And the other thing I'm just going to remind everybody to do, and I try to do when I build business relationships, is to find joy into all your relationships. And if I get frustrated like I did when I first had a website designed and it took so long, one of the things I keep trying to do is keep doing the things that I enjoy. It may not be website design at that moment, and do some of those things when you're in a fluxing period of getting your website designed. Try to make sure that you're feeling good about yourself and your ideas, and do something to make, you joyful before you kind of go back to your website designer and work through some of these challenges. So joy can come from relationships where both parties grow and support each other's goals. In business, working with people who inspire and challenge you can be invigorating. And in personal life, being around individuals who encourage your personal development creates a supportive and joyful environment. So that, again, is kind of the basis that you want to find a website designer and work with a website designer. All right, I'm going to turn this over to my next collaborator here. And again, it's Placket Enterprises, and we specialize in creating websites for new authors. Okay, and we're going to put our information, I think, in our chat this afternoon. So we'll make sure that you have our contact information. So I'd like to introduce Heather, and Heather is a terrific collaborator. We this group of 4 people here today is a very joyful group, and we all work to support each other's businesses. Heather's going to talk to you a little bit about mobile design, and take it away, Heather.
Thanks so much, Holly. I appreciate it. I love that you included a little bit about joy at the end of your presentation. I think that's so important just for life in general. It's such a good thing to think about, right? In life, not just in website design, in everything. What I'm going to talk with you about today is mobile design. That means what your website looks like on a smaller device like a phone. So first question, it's like Sophia's icebreaker. How many of you look at your phone when you're looking for a business or surfing the web, looking for something online? Yeah, I see nods, hands up. Sure, we all do it these days, right? It's super common. Over 50% of all website traffic now is on mobile devices. The last official stat that I saw was 52% of all web traffic was mobile devices in 2018. So that was pre-pandemic, and I'm going to just go ahead and say that it's only gone up since then. So definitely well over 50% of website traffic is mobile. So if you have a poor mobile design, customers are going to have a poor experience and not come back to your website, not come back and buy from you. So that's a pretty big deal. You want your website to work well on a phone. Have you all been to websites that don't look right on a phone? I see lots more nods here. Yeah, it happens, right? I'm going to look at some common issues and kind of why they happen. The other super important thing about why it's important to have your website look great on mobile devices is everybody's heard of SEO at this point, right? Search engine optimization. It's kind of a big buzzword in web design these days. It's essentially getting seen by Google. So when someone searches for something, your website comes up if you have good SEO. Well, Google uses the mobile site before the desktop site for SEO. So the better your site looks on mobile, the better your SEO rankings will be. So super important to have a good mobile design. Some common issues in mobile design. We've all seen them. A cluttered layout where the text is kind of overlapping, or on a mobile site, you have to push a button with your finger, right? What happens when that button gets too little? You're like kind of trying to find the touch point and you can't find it. Slow loading times are also a common issue on mobile sites. And a lot of times that's because of big images that aren't correctly optimized, and that's an easy thing to do. So the poor optimization on mobile is going to lead to frustrated users and probably lost business. Here are just a couple examples of common problems on mobile sites. So this website, what are their hours? It's kind of hard to tell, right? We got some overlapping text here, and this is just where they designed on the desktop, and when the columns went to mobile, they didn't respond, they didn't adjust properly. And it's an easy thing to fix, but you have to know that it's happening and know to do it. So we'll talk about some important ways to get that done a little bit later. Kong, how many of you have like a dog and you've heard of Kong toys? Pretty common, right? Check out, this is their homepage, and these are buttons that you can click. What do they say? Yeah, I don't know either. That's obviously a problem. And this is an easy fix. They could just put a dark green background behind these buttons and they'd be a whole lot easier to read. They're big enough to click. The site looks good otherwise, but Yeah, I don't have any idea what those buttons say. Then we have this one. This one probably doesn't look very good on desktop either, but at least on desktop you can read it. This is, I'm going to guess that none of you even know what this website is for based on what you're seeing right here. It's actually for X-ray products, like those lead vests you wear when you have to get X-rays. But nothing here tells us that, right? It's really hard to read. It's really hard to see. These are clickable, but even that is hard to tell on the website or on the mobile site. So these are things that I want you all not to do on your mobile websites. So things that we should do is have a responsive design. You'll hear web designers say responsive design a lot. And all that means is that the design responds to any screen size. So as the screen gets smaller, things might adjust so that we only have one column instead of 3 columns. So if we go back and look at the veterinary website here, if those columns adjusted properly and responded to the screen size, we wouldn't have this overlapping text issue. Speed optimization, we want our mobile sites to load quickly. One of the easiest ways to do that is to make sure that your images aren't too big for what you need. Stick with simple layouts. There's no reason to get super fancy. And when you use videos, make sure that you link to them rather than hosting them on your actual website, because that can take tons and tons of memory and time to load. Whereas if they're hosted somewhere like YouTube, it's much faster. We also want to have touch-friendly navigation. So big buttons that are easy to hit with your finger and simple menus. Again, let's go back and check this out. This menu right here is called a hamburger menu, and it's pretty universal these days on mobile sites. Everybody kind of knows that you click those 3 buttons, those 3 lines, and you'll get a menu that drops down and you can choose where to go on that website. It's pretty universal now, and I would suggest using that for your website. And this one is the hardest for all of us. I think we're all guilty of it to some extent, especially as small business owners. Readable content. Use large enough fonts that they're readable and short paragraphs. How many of y'all have gone to a website, especially on your phone, and the text is, you know, this long and you scroll and scroll and scroll? How many of you read all of that? Nobody reads it all, right? And how hard is it as a business owner to shorten all that down and to say what you want to say in a paragraph that's this long instead of this long? It's hard to do, and it's important. So work with your web designer, even if you're designing on your own, have some people read with you, have some collaborators to help you make your copy a little shorter so it's readable, and you stick with just what's absolutely necessary so that people actually will read all of it. Okay, so I kind of already alluded to this, but stick with clean, simple layouts. It's going to just make things a little bit easier for you and for your audience. Look at your website on different devices. So if you've got a friend who has, you know, I don't know, an iPhone 15 or something, have them pull up your website and look at it and see if there's any issues that they notice. If you've got another friend with an Android, have them do the same thing. Look at it on different devices and see if there are any problems. Again, this is whether you're hired a web designer or whether you're designing your own website, because your web designer probably doesn't have access to every type of phone either. Use page builders with built-in mobile previews. I'll show you my favorite one here in a minute, but there are infinite numbers of them. I believe that the 4 of us actually all use different builders or different platforms to build with mobile previews, but we all use a different tool to do essentially the same job. And the last tool I'm going to introduce you to in a minute here is Google Inspect or Chrome Inspect. So my page builder that I like to use, I use WordPress to build websites. I alluded to that at the beginning. Tony will talk a little bit more about WordPress too, but I use Elementor, and Elementor has a mobile preview here, and you can see you can choose mobile, tablet, or desktop. And the mobile will look like this, and I can adjust the size of it. Desktop looks like this. So very different, but you can look at it either way on the same screen. And the Inspect tool is something else that you can use. I'm going to show you how it works rather than trying to explain it. So I'm going to play this video and kind of talk over it while it plays. So what it's going to show is that you can click on any website, come down to the very bottom, and click that Inspect button. On the right-hand side, you're going to get a whole bunch of code, and if that doesn't make sense to you, just ignore it. On the left-hand side, you can choose any dimensions and look at how your website will look on that device or in that size. So I just chose a different device than what I had, and now I'm going to make it so that I can choose a size, and I'm going to, play with it a little bit. This is more of a tablet layout, and I'm headed toward a more of a desktop layout here, and it will change to what it looks like on the desktop. So you can play with the inspect tool and see what your website will look like on just about any device. And even still, it's a great idea to look at different devices in person and see what they all look like. So just a tiny bit about mobile optimization there, and how can I help you? I offer free consultations on mobile optimization or web design in general, or courses. I can help with building and optimizing your website, and I have courses to teach you how to build and maintain your website. And here's my contact information. And next up, we'll have Tony talking about selling online. Take it away, Tony.
Hi, yes. Whether you have a product or a service, you are selling that. And a lot of people start out by just selling their product or service at trade shows, farmers markets, or local pop-ups, or just contacting friends and family. But I want to talk to you about really taking your booth instead of at a farmer's market, but take that booth to the web. It's 2024. And essentially, every person needs an online presence, as the girls have already stated. Some of the things that I think is essential is that you get your domain, your company domain, or something close to it, your product domain. Really important. Whether you have a full ordering website or just a single page that any one of the ladies here could do for you, you need to show product pictures, product information, contact information, maybe even the list of the trade shows that you're going to be showing at. But another reason, Sophia already mentioned, is that people are literally going to your website to check you out. I think she mentioned that 81% of consumers actually go to a website before they purchase. A lot of the people that I talk to, though, here at where I am, if they're the local, next slide, please, if they're a local producer, is that they say, I don't want to really get big. I want to stay small. I just want to sell locally. And I understand, and that's okay. But one of the things that I often say to them is that it's okay if you just limit the number of orders you do. Because when you expand your business to the web, you are offering your products to customers literally all over the world. And one of the things I explain is that what if a tourist comes and buys a beautiful necklace or a beautiful bracelet from you, and they get home and they want to reorder for their family for Christmas, or they want to reorder, their neighbor wants one. If you don't have a place on the web that they can reorder from you, or that neighbor place a new order with you, you're passing up a huge opportunity. Oh, and one of the little Tony's tips that I always give to people is put your domain name on all of your product tags, because that your home, remember how it's your home on the web, goes all over the world with that product, and it will bring you more business. To sell retail, there's a lot of different platforms out there. There's GoDaddy, there's Shopify, there's Wix, there's Squarespace. My company for retail websites uses WordPress with the platform, with the plugin, WooCommerce plugin. And that's, as Heather was saying, is so easy to update, and it's open source, so many people know how to do it. And with her courses, you can even update your own. And we also teach our clients also to update their own. One of the sites we did with the WooCommerce, with WordPress WooCommerce, if you ever are in Kona, or if you're ever here on the island, go to Kona Diamond Company. Their website is konadiamondco.com. It's right next to the Safeway store, just off Henry. They do a tremendous business retail on their website. So this, just feel free to go take a look at it. It's just, it shows you what WooCommerce, what WordPress WooCommerce can do for you. With retail websites, it's really excellent because you get paid immediately. You need to ship immediately, but you will need to probably in most counties charge sales tax. If that customer buys in your county, if they are in another county, in most cases on the mainland at least, if someone buys from a different state or a different county, you do not have to collect sales tax from them. That was kind of interesting. But another very powerful way to sell your product is wholesale, which has been our specialty for 27 years. And one thing that you need to look at when you're doing wholesale is, do you have the margin? Do you have the ability to sell stores your product at half of what you're currently selling it on your retail site? So if that item costs $20 on your retail website, can you sell it for $10 to stores? But you need to remember, if you're selling to a store, you're not selling 1 or 2 pieces. You're probably selling 6 or 12 or maybe 100 pieces. And so then you need to look at, can I actually supply that? With wholesale, there's so many different rules. It's so different from a retail that one of the things we did is we developed a system called Cameo Easy. And that is on the next slide. And that is complete, automated, merchant, electronic ordering made easy. It was a $1 million development project that we did to write a program that was specific for wholesale, because when we started back in 1997, there was nothing over the counter that you could get. There was hardly anything over the counter that you could get for retail websites, but absolutely nothing for wholesale. So we had to actually do it ourselves. And like I mentioned, we've been in business for 27 years, and we have designed and developed over 800 B2B websites, that's wholesale websites, dozens and dozens of B2C retail websites. We also do a tremendous amount of marketing to stores, to retail stores. And we do it several different ways. We have what we call wholesale portals. Like a store can go to giftswholesale.com or toyswholesale.com or decorwholesale.com, and they can find manufacturers, real manufacturers that, no, you were right, going to the next one, that where they can actually find a link to that company's website. And we market to thousands of shops that have opted to receive advertising from us. So it's a busy world out there in the World Wide Web, and however you want to participate, all of us would love to help you. To contact me specifically, I'm Tony at omeganetinc.net. That's 2 nets, so omeganetinc.net. Or contact me at 808-895-3076. And now we're going to have an opportunity for you to ask questions if you have any.
All right. Any questions from anybody?
I like all the information. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm kind of brand new. I like to begin with a blog, not exactly which sell yet, but I like to make links and try to sell some stuff. I have a lot of things in my mind to put down. I need to begin. Heather helped me a lot. I did a small seminar But I have another business with plants, and I'm so busy right now, but I needed to focus and take some time every day, 1 hour every day, and begin be more serious about, and thank you for sharing, ladies. I really enjoyed to watch. Really,
Very
and
good.
help.
Bettina, I always say that it's okay to walk before you run.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
the first step would be to get your domain before somebody else gets it, right?
Mm-hmm. I have a domain.
Right, good. And then
Just the domain.
and your blog can be your homepage. So any one of us could help. Your blog is your homepage.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your home. Okay. So you could always start there. And then you can grow as you are ready.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one thing I might add too, with any and all of us, one of our biggest challenges with working with new clients, is this whole business about getting visible and getting a website and being online. And we all understand how sometimes that's difficult for people to grow into and to understand that it's okay to be visible. It's okay to promote your business and to start to get comfortable with it. So with any of us, we understand that as being a challenge for being a new business owner and starting a business and having part of it be online. So you'll be feeling very comfortable with any of us to work through that. And we understand that you're growing up to that and growing, as we all are. And so that's one of the things that we really stress when we work with our clients is making sure that they understand that visibility is a big part of having a website and being comfortable with that. And that comes with time and experience and growing your business.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure. So at this point, I would love for maybe each of us to give out a question or two that we hear a lot. And then whether we want to do the answer or whether we want to take turns answering, let's do that. Okay, Sophia's got her hand up already. She's like, yep, I got one. Go for it, Sophie.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if we could do that because I'm like, I just got as we're doing this a request for a discovery call today, and I noticed that she said that she's possibly looking for a website for her jewelry, but combining it with a skincare website. And I see this a lot where people are like, can we just combine these two businesses into a website? So, I mean, I also have like an opinion, but I'd love to hear what you guys also say about this.
We actually encounter that a lot in a manufacturer that has two totally different brands. And we believe it is okay to have them on the same site, but enough separated. So when they go to the home page, we have the skincare picture, but we also have these jewelry, and it goes to different parts of the website. Okay, all on the same shopping cart, but to not confuse people. That way, when marketing starts, the marketing will be brand specific and it'll send them there. And immediately on the home page, you will see both businesses. That's the way we handle it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. Okay. Normally when a lot of people I hear will say either separate landing pages maybe, or like that differentiate both, but that's great.
Well, the landing page is when it's really you're doing advertising, product specific advertising. It's not bad to have it go to a landing page, and then the landing page will send them to their website.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. But if they're just typing in their domain, sometimes there's 3 or 4 major brands on that one website, and you don't want to have to make them do, although I'd love to be able to charge them 4 different times, but but no, there's no reason why. The marketing will be brand specific, but the home page can show the variety, and sometimes the store likes a variety.
Yeah.
I love that answer, Tony, and I think it's super common. I think that was a really good question, Sophia, because I think in my experience so far anyway, it seems like a lot of entrepreneurs are multi-talented and have different
Exactly.
things happening. I mean, some of us too, right? So we all have a little bit different things happening. So not having to have, 4 or 5 completely separate websites to try to keep up with, like, that's too much for most people.
Mhm.
Putting it all on one. And Sophia, there are a lot of options. You can do subdomains, you can do landing pages. There are infinite possibilities. But I agree with you, Tony, that the easiest way to do it is to have a homepage and then have sub pages that go out to the different products. I think that's really the most organized and easiest to keep track of way to do it.
Now, one of the questions that I get, and I'll share with you, is how much does a website cost? Do y'all get that at all? How much does a
All the
website?
time.
Generally, what I say is I answer with another question. How much does a car cost? Do you want a Ford Focus, or do you want a Lamborghini? Okay, and that's the same way. You could start, like I said, you could start crawling before you walk, walking before you run. But that helps people say, oh, a website is not just one thing. It could start out and it grows. It's a constant growth. The website expands. One of the things that I think is very important, Fatima, is that the sooner you get on the web with that domain, with vital information, with keywords and phrases, the better it is. The longer you're on the web, the better the search engines like that. So the longer you're on the web, so get on there, even if it's not all that you want it to be someday.
Yes.
Okay. Because you get ranked better by having a mobile site, okay, and having a lot of the information, keywords and phrases. But the length that you've been, like we have had giggswholesale.com for 27 years, so it's ranked very, very good. Okay, so don't hesitate. Just go ahead and get on the web. Get one of Heather or Sophia or one of us to help you. Get on there. Get it published. Don't just sit and twiddle your thumbs.
Yeah, I am like waiting too long. Oh, if I don't make correct, you'll be not correct the first time. I need to do it and then change.
But you can change, just like Heather was saying. You can change.
Yes.
Progress over perfection. Progress.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I remember when you said yes. Yes.
Always. So I'm going to give you a scenario that I get a lot. And I'm just going to start off with the scenario. I get phone calls often from people who have a website and their original website designer disappeared. They can't email them. They aren't answering the phone. It's disconnected. They've gone out of business, disappeared. And this person has no idea what is going on with their website. If anything, it looks okay from where they're, from basically looking at it, but it hasn't been updated in a long time. It hasn't been maintained, and they don't know how to do that. Sometimes these people aren't even sure how to log into the back end of their website, which is always concerning to me because I can't necessarily take them on as a client, not even knowing anything about their website. So, this is something where keep up with your website designer and learn when you have a website, learn at least the very basics. Learn how to log into the back end of it. Learn how to add an image, just the very most basic things. I'm not saying you have to build your entire website. If you want to, that's awesome. But learn how to do a few things. Learn how to do the basics of maintenance so that if your web designer, even stuff happens, what if your web designer gets in a car accident and can't update your website anymore? I mean, just being able to log in and do the very most basic things is super important. So I just suggest to everybody to do that at least. And then, like I said, hire somebody to do the rest of it if you don't want to do it. But if you do want to do it, that's great too. So that's just a bit of advice for me, more than a question so much, just a little bit of advice.
If I could also say really quickly on that note, it actually very much, I hope I'm not cutting out. Am I cutting out? Okay. It's surprises me so much when people are like, yeah, my website designer just up and disappeared. Like, I when I first came in, I'm like, I thought you're my, client for life. Well, one, the website designers who are not either nurturing or keeping in touch with their clients, they're missing out on possible work later. And then also, like, it makes it so much harder for the client as well. It's not really a solution for them if you're just going to give them part of it and then leave, and it makes me so upset when they're just left on their own, struggling and frustrated too.
100%. And I think for the four of us are good collaborators because we are all empathetic and caring people. And it's I feel like it's hard for any of us to imagine just like disappearing and leaving our clients with nothing, but it happens surprisingly often. So yeah, I think it's something just to know, and to just know the very basics, just to avoid that. Because and I wonder sometimes if some of the people who are disappearing are, I don't those people that maybe are doing small jobs on those websites that you can find people randomly, and they just do it quickly and are done over and over and over, and aren't very in tune, aren't doing a lot of discussing with people and back and forth and stuff. So anyway, yeah.
Well, I'll add too that that's one of the reasons I use the Wix platform to build my websites on, because they have Wix partners. And so if I do, I'm a little old lady, so I could just disappear into heaven, And so they have backup there. They can always contact Wix.com and get assigned another website designer if something should happen. So I'm very pleased with the platform that I use and the way to do that. Plus, now that I'm working with many great collaborators, I would certainly be inclined to, as I wind up my business, if I want to, in 4 or 5 years, to contact my clients and make sure that they have your contacts. And so that you certainly would have good service continuing, even if I'm not around. So that's something to keep in mind too.
I get that question a lot, and because we host hundreds of websites, and I get that. And because IBM, we have all of our servers at IBM. And I had a question the other day. Well, what if, all of y'all just disappeared? And I said, odds are IBM is not going to disappear. And there's a couple of things. You also always should own your domain. Do not let your web designer own your domain. You make sure it's in your name. You make sure you have the login and password. And your admin to your website, your back end. Even if you're not making a lot of them, you have that admin, you have that admin and the password. So those things are essential. Even if you don't want to do your own work, you need that, because you don't know what's going to happen. And many times I've had people come to me that this has happened to, and we were able to recover their website for them and rebuild it, on our servers. So, and we've also had people that their designer actually would not give them control of their domain because they wanted to move it to somebody else, and they wanted $3,000 to give them permission. Well, Network Solutions, it was with them. Well, they had to show legal proof that they own the company and stuff like that. So it's a battle to get your domain back. So get your domain. Make sure it's in your name. And
I would go ahead and add, like in Holly's presentation, another important part of choosing a web designer is to find someone that maybe ask the question of, I can own my own domain and I can have backend access, correct? Because some web designers really don't want to give that. And I think it's important, super important to have it. So ask that question.
Yeah, we covered that on the checklist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just dealt with that before with Heather, that for some odd reason my client didn't want owner domain, didn't have the login information, didn't have the hosting, and I'm like, why would it you have
How
to
does that work?
at least have access, like
I'm
Also,
helping. Oh, go ahead.
I've also had clients who don't know who their host is, and we're working to figure out the hosting company, and it makes for a big mess. So just don't lose that information. Make sure you always have it.
Yeah, and if that ever happens, Gary does a ping. He always can ping one and find out who is hosting. We are helping a lawyer here in Kona right now that his website totally disappeared. I mean, totally. I went to Wayback Archive. Okay, there's a Wayback Archive. I went back and found his website back about 6 years ago. You're able to find it. I was able to copy a lot of the verbiage. There's a lot of things. It's not there. It's just pictures that they took. I was able to get the verbiage and send him the verbiage for him to rewrite it to make it current. But so there's a lot of ways we can help people.
For sure.
I've done that multiple times, and but it's Wayback Archive. You just type it in and it's amazing. You can recover so much that they have done in the past. So if that designer does disappear and your website goes down and you don't know where it is, that is an option for you to usually find at least the picture, the look of it. And a lot of times you can copy the actual data.
That's where sometimes as a web designer, I feel like a detective. I feel like a detective going into a website that already exists and trying to figure out why it's done a certain way or what the problems are and why it's happening that way when I wasn't the one who originally designed it. It's kind of an interesting thing to get to do. Any other questions we want to ask before we wrap it up, ladies?
No, that was the main
The only other thing I can think of is that if someone comes to you and they have like a Shopify site and they want to leave Shopify and they want to move it to WordPress site, it can be done, but it's like moving a house from one lot to another house. It's going to take time. It's going to take money. It's not something instantly done if it's in a different platform. If it is the same platform, okay, so if it's in WordPress, it's easier, but it still is a rebuilding on a new server.
So speaking of that, I have an idea, ladies. Let me know what you think. I think we should do another webinar, maybe beginning of next year, about the platform options. There are so many different platforms and they're all super different. I know Tony and I both use WordPress, but otherwise everybody's working in a different platform. And I think there are advantages and disadvantages to all of them. And depending on an individual, one may be better than the other. And choosing a platform, is sometimes a stumbling block or a roadblock for a lot of people. So that might be a fun one to do. So anybody who's watching this, let us know if you think that's a good one to do and you'd come to that webinar.
It would be a good theme for our next one. Yep.
I like it.
Yeah,
But Wix has a retail. I mean, you can do retail on Wix. And
they also
Squarespace
just
does
opened
now too.
courses.
we don't know how to do. We don't work Wix, but so we need to bring in someone that does Shopify. Shopify is a very popular retail. It's not very good wholesale, but it's a very good retail. A lot of our clients use Shopify. We are not a Shopify. We don't know Shopify.
I've got one client on Shopify now, so I'm learning it a little bit, but WordPress is still kind of my jam. So yeah.
But WordPress, it's just so flexible.
Well, whatever. We don't have to get into that, Tony, but we love WordPress. So.
A little bias.
Right. We all have our biases, and that's okay. All right. If nobody has anything else they want to add,
I just like to say one more time, thank you. And you ladies inspire me. Thank you. It's like what Tony said. Just move it. Do something.
do it. Just do it.
Do it. Yes. I am waiting to have more knowledge, to have more this. Heather helped me a lot. And I will follow that and just do it. Yeah. And grow. And I will love to participate in the next one. Yes. Just let me know.
Very good.
Just get out there.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Progress over perfection.
Always.
Yes.
Always. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today. And we will see you all later. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I just upped my